Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker, host of the Love You Even More podcast. I'm an author, performer, producer, and Emmy Award winner. Each week, I bring on inspiring people and experts in their field to have powerful, motivational, and enlightened conversations about relationships, self-development, and how you can love yourself even more. Follow us for daily updates at Love You Even More podcast and at Jackie Brubaker on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. For more on myself and the podcast, including ways that you can love yourself even more, go to loveyouevenmore.com. Welcome, Stephanie Hamadto, to the Love You Even More podcast. Stephanie is a frequent guest on the show. You all know her now. She is a licensed life coach. She is a celebrity hairstylist, and she's just a smart woman. And this topic was her idea again, because she comes up with the best topics. But she has been reading this book that someone suggested to me to read years ago called Calling in the One. And she's been actually doing it. It's a course. It's like a 7-week plus. It's your course. You can take it as long or as short as you want. But typically 7 weeks. And it literally helps you to get right so that you can bring in the one. And I'm just going to say, I remember when I did this and I was clearly not wanting to call him the one because I never completed it. I didn't even want to go that far into it, which says a lot about where I was at the time. But you, Stephanie, have been starting it and doing it and are loving it. So welcome back to the podcast and tell us what this has kind of been like for you and describe what the book is, because you're deep in it and you know more than I do.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoyed coming on here. So I've heard about this book. It's called Calling in the One by Katharine Woodward Thomas. I've heard about it for years, but I think the misconception I had was that it was sort of a law of attraction, like manifesting your perfect partner kind of a thing.
Right.
Which is cool, but like I do a bit of law of attraction and visualization in my practice anyway. So I was like, okay, I don't know if I need a book on that. But what I didn't realize, like one of my clients kind of drove the point home. She was like, it took me years to finally get through this book. But as soon as I did, I met my now partner of 13 years. She's like, it's incredible. And so I was like, well, there must be something to it. So I picked it up. I'm doing it on Audible. So you can either obviously get a physical copy. The Audible works great for me because it is, excuse me, as you said, it's like a 7-week course. There's one lesson a day for 7 weeks. You can take longer than that, or you could do it shorter than that. I'm going to have to pause.
That's okay. It's allergy season.
Yeah, I got a frog in my throat. Anyway, so it's one lesson a day for 7 weeks. So what is that? Like 49 lessons. And each lesson has like a practice, usually like a journaling or some sort of art practice at the end. And they kind of sum it all up every week too. So some people do it where you do the 7 lessons, and then at the end of the week, you do all 7 practices. However you want to divide it up, that works for you and your schedule. I typically listen to the chapters in my car, and then when I'm home, either at night or on the weekends, is when I do all my journaling. And it is just, what was the misconception was, I thought it was more about kind of calling in your perfect partner and trying to manifest your perfect partner. And what it is a lot more about is diving into your own patterns and your own behavior and your own trauma and kind of unpacking it and seeing where you're actually the one that is creating dynamics in relationships that you don't want. And it's a little triggering in a way, because you're like, especially when you believe in law of attraction, we kind of think, oh no, it's like our energy is just like attracting these people to us and we have no part in that. It's just like a natural magnetic pull that we can't help. And what this is showing you is like, oh no, there's actually things you're doing that is creating the very thing that you don't want to have.
What? How could that be true?
I know, but it's so powerful, especially like when we're in this personal growth space. It's so powerful to see where you can adjust your own behavior, where you can do your own healing. Because as we know, like most of the things we want to change in our life, like it starts with us. It doesn't start with, well, they should have acted this way, or they should have done better, or they should have treated me better. Like, yeah, that's sort of the end result of you not doing this work, of not uncovering your own stuff and your own patterns and behaviors. So,
Well, that's something really interesting she talks about in the very beginning is that this theory of victimhood that so many people are holding on to, and it has become their identity and their story. And the idea of letting go of that victimhood, like, oh, you hurt me and you caused me to have this kind of life, and now I'm stuck because that person or these people. And she's really asking you to literally give up that story. I think a lot of people just can't do that. And they're, and maybe to be honest, just to throw this in the ring, like maybe that's why I wasn't able to do this book when I first heard about it. And I'm talking years ago, guys. This is an old book. It is yellowed pages now. So I've done quite a bit of work, but that probably was part of it, because we've all been hurt before. And it's just a matter of how long are we going to really carry around that hurt and that victimhood? And when are you ready to let go of it and say, hey, you know what? I have to take some responsibility here too, which sounds like the book is just like taking all kinds of responsibility for yourself.
yes. Well, and that's why I thought, we could hop on here and talk about it, because I feel like there's so many powerful practices in the book. And look, she is going to dive much deeper in her book than we're going to dive into here. But this gives you just like a little bit of a taste, a little bit of like things you can do already, like before you get the book or before you start out on this journey, to start kind of like thinking about the ways that you might make some shifts to attract better situations and outcomes. So can we jump right in?
Let's do it. I'm jumping.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So the very first category that I wanted to break down is talking about breaking patterns. And so the first thing you do is you write about what patterns keep happening for you in relationships. So identifying like kind of what is the story or the situation you keep finding yourself in. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you identify what messages or stories come up because of those patterns. So for me, like I might find myself in relationships where I'm overgiving and the responsibility load is off balance or something like that. And then the story that comes up is, they're not valuing me or they're not treating me well or something along those lines. And then from there, you identify like, who have you been blaming from these, like as a result of these patterns? So like, maybe you're blaming like, well, my dad, because when I was growing up, he did X, Y, and Z, and now I keep attracting that kind of same scenario. Or, blaming myself for like not being smart enough or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you identify, how do I show up to perpetuate this pattern? Mm-hmm. So I think we kind of think, oh, we just keep randomly meeting these people and they keep doing this certain thing to me. But what I realized in like doing this work is like, oh, because I come in to a lot of relationships being like, oh, don't worry about me. Like, oh, whatever you want, whatever you need, like, don't worry about my needs. And then later I'm resentful because I'm like, they don't care about my needs. Why don't they care about my needs? And so this is a way where I'm showing up in relationship, kind of setting the tone. And, whether I'm picking a partner that would already be that way or not, I don't know. But if it's someone that like, maybe they would care about my needs if I stated those from the beginning, instead of like creating this dynamic that's all about their needs. Right.
Yeah. That's a very common, dynamic too, for people who are overly giving and loving and nurturing, such as yourself. And a lot of women are specifically like that, but also there's a lot of men who are just so sweet and caring and doting and loving, and they do give, 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 give. And then one day they're like, hey, what about me? So it really goes both ways. I've seen it. I've actually we've been talking about this. I've seen this a lot with men recently where they're just wonderful humans. And then they just, one day they start kind of feeling like, I'm in this relationship too. It can't just always be the like, my partner's show. And that happens on both sides. So yeah, I mean that's such a typical dynamic that happens. I was thinking of things that happen with me. Ironically, I told you before we started, I totally took apart my garage yesterday and took out all the boxes from like the last 15, 20 years. Like, wow, we are going really far back there. And I read a couple of cards. It was crazy from like ex-boyfriends from like, oh my God, so long. And you know what was interesting, speaking of patterns, is that they all have very similar handwriting, which frightens me. I'm like, I should really deep dive into that. That they're all very similar writers. Like they were all very romantic, very flowery in their writing. And which, is really sweet. And I was like, wow, I've had some really lovely like Romeos, like these overly romantic men who like really want to like give me the sun, moon, and the stars, which lucky me. But of course, there's always the other side of it. And that's why we broke up. For both of us, right? And I was thinking, what the hell was I doing that was causing problems in the relationship? And mind you, I'm talking relationships from when I was in my early 20s until now. Things have changed, but I was thinking about like my own patterns. And I know a big problem that I've had is staying in a relationship with the wrong person for way too long, should have left earlier, and settling because no matter how bad it is, or how much I think they're the right person for me, but I'm not feeling it completely, but they should be, but I should, because they're so great and I should be in this relationship. Those are the two patterns I've really identified for a while now that I'm like, do not do that. Don't do that. Choose someone who you are genuinely like in love with and they're not crazy. Like those are the two things. Yeah. Like don't settle and don't stay too long. Which you and I just as friends have talked a lot about with like, we've gotten to a place in our, sorry, I think my cats are destroying the house. Have gotten to a place in our lives where we do know so much about ourselves. So we're so quick to cut things off when we're like, nope, that's just that I already know where that's going to go. And most of the time we're right. But I think that there's a sliver of like, I just recently learned this, as you know, like where that's true, and something, both things could be true, right? That could be true. And there could be something that I'm missing here or that I'm just too afraid to like push past. Like, oh no, that looks too hard. I don't want to do this. But if I was to try to work stuff out with that person, what could that look like? Could that actually heal both of us? Could that strengthen the relationship? And that's the lesson that I'm learning right now. But those are my two patterns. Absolutely.
Well, I'm so glad I'm so glad you mentioned the like staying in relationships that like, aren't the right fit for you. And I think that we do this a lot. And that's a pattern I have as well, where when I look back at like a lot of my serious relationships that have ended, the things that it ended over are the things that at the very beginning, I was like, I don't know if that works for me. Yeah. And then you kind of override it and you're like, well, maybe I can get used to it. Maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll, show up differently. And I think we do this where we fall in love with people's potential. And we're like, oh, well, they check all these other boxes. So, maybe they'll start showing up in this way that I need, or maybe they will grow into this like, type of partner or whatever. And it is a fine line because you don't want to necessarily, as soon as you see something that you don't like walk away from every single person. But I think, and we will go into this in a little bit, is like once you've identified kind of the most important things to you in a relationship, like the things you value the highest, if the things that you're not sure about conflict with those values, then it's a no. And you have to trust that there will be somebody who will meet your bar. And I think what we do is we're like, well, I don't trust in the universe's timing. I don't trust in my ability to attract the right partner. So I'm going to go with this partner because they're saying yes to me. They're saying yes to me. They're willing to do it. And they check enough boxes. Maybe I can sacrifice my needs, or maybe they will rise up down the road. And, so we're going to get a little bit clearer on that today so that you have like a little bit more of a roadmap and a compass internally of like, how do you decide to like stick it through and do the work versus decide this just isn't a fit?
Absolutely. And one thing we need to talk about sometime during this, find a spot where this fits. I also found a very old love list in a box and I read it. And mind you, there were like 50 things on this love list. It was very long. And I was like, oh my God, I manifested it, which was crazy. It was specific. It was very specific, but it was also written a very long time ago. So it's taken time. But I'd love to talk about love lists throughout this if you find a good spot, because it feels like it kind of comes into it. So anyway, go on.
Well, it is, I mean, just to touch on that, it is always so interesting when I find old things that I wanted to manifest that I have not like thought about in years. And I find it like just randomly cleaning out a closet or going through something. And I'm like, holy cow, I haven't thought about this in 8 years. And every single thing on there has happened, is happening, So there is something really powerful when we're talking about manifesting to like write out what you want and like, put it out into the universe. But it's almost the like releasing of it is what then eventually draws it in. But that's a whole other episode on manifesting. Okay. So moving on from like breaking your patterns, the next, which I touched on, is like deciding what your values are in a relationship. And like you said, making a nice, long, specific list. What I've kind of like whittled it down to as the most important values of my future relationship would be feeling safe, feeling valued, feeling like I belong, someone who is kind, feeling accepted, consistency, integrity, mutual respect, empathy, and forgiveness. So those are my values in a relationship. And so what I have to do walking into a relationship, the dating phase or whatever, we can get confused with someone's like attention and like you had said that your boyfriends had written you all these like romantic letters. And I think that's so lovely.
Right.
And also, did they meet all your values in the relationship? Because there's like two things there. There's the way that people can like glamour us and make us feel pretty and make us feel whatever, like our self-esteem boost. But that is not the same thing as like actually showing up as a partner with your values. So, when we talk about,
I'm so sorry, like just to make that point very, very like visible, what was so interesting is that what I decided to keep from my exes, and again, very, very little guys, were the more glamorized things. They were the pictures of us looking fantastic. They were the love letters. They were maybe like, from trips or something, stuff we did, like moments. But it was that. And it's funny, even there was one ex, I'm like, why did I keep anything? Which maybe that's going in the trash tomorrow. But it was so interesting because I was looking at pictures of us and I was like, wow, even me who was in this horrible relationship looks at these pictures and thinks they look so happy. They look so happy. And it was wild to see these pictures and to think, maybe like I think someone else would think like maybe like, oh, maybe you guys could have worked it out, blah, blah, blah. But there was no way. So like our values were so misaligned. But yeah, the glamorization of it and what we decide to remember versus what we don't is something to really investigate.
Yeah. Well, and I think when people hear the word values, what they're thinking oftentimes is like, do we have the same belief system? Like,
Yeah.
do we pray to the same God? Do we, I don't know. But
Yeah.
what I'm referring to more is like your values in a relationship. Like, what are your needs? Like, what do you need to have in a partner in order to meet your standards?
Mhm.
Yeah, because like, I mean, and having been back in the dating world post-divorce, like I see all the different ways that people show up in the dating world. And I can see like a lot of these guys are, and I say guys because I'm dating guys, I'm sure women do it too, but like a lot of these guys are showing up trying to like convince you of something, like trying to be like, oh, well, I have this job and I do this thing and we'll go on these trips and da 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 da. And like that's all lovely. But like, do you make me feel valued? Do I feel safe with you? Do you have enough empathy and like compassion? And do you hold space for me in a real way? Because I don't just want to be someone who fills a spot in your life. Like, I don't want to be the girl that you have on your arm to take to your like events. Like,
Yeah.
I want you to actually care about me as a human. I want you to wonder about like what makes me tick. And I want you to set real time aside for me and honor that time. And, those are the kind of things like for me, I feel like that's like bare minimum. So if they're not able to do that, or that's just like, there might be someone else that values what they have to offer. So like, let them be set free to meet the girls that are like really valuing their package.
Right.
Because it's sort of like, it's getting quicker to what you want and also like setting them free to find what they want,
And also, I think, it really helps us to like give up the fantasy, maybe if we're still hung up on someone, or you always think, oh, that's the one that got away, is to just like really start seeing like what it was really and how it ended, because it did for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Do you have anything else to add on values,
No,
or should we move?
I think
Okay.
value seems
So,
very clear.
I mean, yeah. So any of you that haven't really thought about it, I think this is a good opportunity to write down like what your top most important and what did you not have in your previous serious relationships that you really want to find? And it's not, someone who's tall. Like that's not what I mean. I mean like what do you want to feel in your next relationship that like you maybe haven't felt before in your previous relationships? And then the next would be identifying like what you were lacking in childhood. So from caregivers and your upbringing, and like, this isn't to demonize either of your parents. Like, I think people are doing the best they can, but we internalize stuff. Like, I mean, if a parent was working all the time, like we might feel like unimportant or unseen or something like that. So if you can identify what it was that you were lacking in childhood, what was the disappointment? And then, make a list of that. Like, in what ways were you disappointed as a child, or in what ways were your needs not met as a child, emotionally or physically, but emotionally too? Make a list of all those things and then find ways that you can be the one to give those to yourself. So again, circling back to, oh, well, he should have done this for me. He should have done that for me. Find the ways your needs weren't met as a child. Figure out how you can do those things for yourself so that when you're going into your next relationship, you're not looking for someone to save you. And I think that is one of the demises of a lot of relationships. And this is how we perpetuate patterns, is we are setting partners up for failure sometimes because we're coming in at a place of lack. We are hoping that someone is going to come in and love us the way that we've never been loved before, or do the things for us that weren't done for us before. And any hint of disappointment and all of our relational trauma is about to pop up and go toe to toe with our partner. So versus if we come in with like, we've figured out how to be the hero of our own story, We have been our own knight in shining armor. We have started caring for ourselves the way that we really deserve to be cared for. Now the other person is just their own person. We're our own person, and we can value and respect them, and they can value and respect us. But we're not like help, save me, and going like dead weight and asking them to carry us,
Yeah. God, that so happens still, guys. Like, I'm thinking of a particular relationship, not my own, but someone else's. And that is the way it is. It is the rescue show. It is the rescue this person's show. And it's just exhausting to watch. And like, we need to, I keep thinking a lot about like, when you were saying this, I was thinking a lot about sort of like that girl aesthetic, like the whole like making your coffee and having your meditation and blah, 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 blah. And we see all of this stuff on TikTok or Instagram. And it looks really beautifully, like aesthetically, right? But there is something very real to it. Like it comes from a real place. And I think I said to you, like maybe a few weeks ago, I was like, I just really want to have this, like, maybe I called it that girl or it girl aesthetic where, I could just have my little routine and just be peaceful. But the truth is, I have that routine, and a lot of us do. I think it's just about recognizing what you're already doing right in your life and then seeing the places that need some love, like you're talking about, and like giving the love to those spaces so that you do become the hero of your life. So you're not always feeling, you're not taking your own strength for granted, which I think a lot of us do. Like I just, gave the example of, is like, oh, you have this whole like awesome like routine, but then you're taking it for granted because you're like, oh, whatever, I do that every day. It's fine. It's nothing. But I'll watch it on TikTok and be like, oh, that looks great. So like, don't take yourself for granted, but also in the spots that need that love and need that like acceptance, go be that hero. I love that phrase, be the hero of your own life. That's such a great way of putting it.
Thank you. Well, I mean, this can come up in so many different ways. To your point, like some of us have really great routines that help us feel that grounded, peaceful energy. But it can be a lot of different things. Like I think I had expressed in a previous relationship how much that person made me like they appreciated my body and made me feel so accepted and loved, and like for like physically, right? Mm. And well, that kind of tells me that like maybe I didn't have enough love and acceptance and whatever of my own body. And like, of course, it's nice to have that in a partner. And like, that would be like, again, bare minimum bar would be someone that like absolutely loves and accepts my body. But one of the things in the book too is like, she has you stand, this might be too much, but like she has you stand in front of a mirror naked and like section by section, look at every inch of your body. And notice when there's something coming up. And like when it's something you like, you say some mantras like thanking it for how great it is. And when it's something that you're like, oh, like there's my wrinkle or there's my, soft roll or whatever it is, she has you say other mantras to kind of start to learn to accept and love all the parts of us, So that's a way where, if you had any sort of body shaming growing up, if you had anyone making you feel like you didn't look the right way or that there was something wrong with you. It's like all the things that we lacked, all the things that we were disappointed by our parents from, like it's being able to be that for yourself first so that you are not coming in sort of thirsty for that need to be filled. Another example, like I had a coaching client a while back, and she had described when one of her parents had left her or left her family. And she told me also the ways that she doesn't take care of herself. And a lot of those ways were physical needs, like, creating like healthy meals or cooking or moving her body. It was like physical needs. And I said, well, I find it interesting because at the time that parent left, that's when you were in a stage where you're like, you couldn't take care of your own physical needs. And so there was a lacking, right, in her childhood from that parent of just physically taking care of her. And so now she's working out, doing the physical needs for herself, but coming at it from a place of like, this is how I'm choosing to love myself and take care of myself so that I can fill my own needs, so that when I enter my next relationship, I'm not necessarily craving that from the partner. And it's so beautiful because I think we can tell ourselves that, like, oh, I need to like be healthy. I need to exercise. I need to this, but it ends up feeling like more of a burden. It ends up feeling like more of another chore or another thing that I'm going to drop the ball on or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're coming at it from a place of, no, I was lacking this love and I am choosing to give this love to myself. That is a place of power and empowerment and a hopefully a commitment that you want to make to yourself so that you can be a whole person and eventually meet another whole person that has a healthy relationship with.
And you're rewriting that victim story.
Yes. And when you come in with not loving yourself in those ways or still having that lack, the first hint that they don't meet that need for you, you're like, see, here it goes again. See, I knew this was going to happen. See, this is what always happens. And then guess what? Now you're perpetuating the pattern that you've had in every relationship, and you are covertly putting them in the position to relive your own wounding.
Right.
And, and by the way, they're doing the same probably because everyone has their own wounding, and that's why we're attracted, and, opposites attract, all this stuff. But my point is, if you want to break the pattern, here's where you start. You have to start with finding the lack, giving it to yourself, finding your values, not settling for less, identifying your patterns so that you can already start to recognize them when they start to pop up again.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What's next? Jeez.
Okay. There's so much in this book. Okay. So one thing, and this is just like a quick note, is there's something she calls FOG relationships. And FOG stands for fear, obligation, and guilt. So she has you identify if there's anyone who's still in your life that you have a FOG relationship with. And that is, there's a saying, like, obviously, like, God can't replenish your basket if it's always full. But, the universe, like, when we fill our energy and our time with people that we feel fear, obligation, and guilt for, we're sort of, it's wasted energy, first of all, and we're eating up too much of our space in our lives with these people. So, I guess the point there would be to identify who it is in your life and either let them go completely or decide to shift the dynamic and not have a fear, obligation, and guilt relationship with them. And nobody, that's hard. Like, I know sometimes family members can make us feel like a sense of obligation and guilt all the time. And then we have the fear of what's going to happen if we disappoint them. And, we just have to decide that we are more worthy than that. And to say, as hard as it is, I am not going to operate out of fear and guilt anymore. I don't feel obligated to anyone. I am going to put energy into the people who put energy back into me,
Yeah, huge. That's a huge turning point for a lot of people once they start doing that. It's also very scary.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're probably used to having some sort of like negative consequence when we set boundaries with these people. And so it is a very confronting part of the book, but worth it.
It is worth it because the people that really love you they may not like the boundary. They may push back against it, but they will eventually start adhering to it as best as they can because they love you and they don't want to lose you. And the people who don't respect your boundary, then they usually walk themselves away or you walk away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back to the like loving yourself and meeting your needs first, because, a lot of times we're letting people walk all over us. Which is disrespecting ourselves. We are not respecting ourselves when we give our power away like that. But then we're going into relationships like, well, why don't they respect me?
Yeah.
Guess what? Like, it starts with respecting yourself.
Yeah.
And then, when you are meeting your needs, having self-respect, actually loving and valuing yourself, then you are going to not only notice the person that will value you, you're going to end up in a relationship with a person that will value you, and that'll be reflected to you in your reality. But like when you're doing the opposite of having these like toxic dynamics with people, which is disrespecting yourself, you're having low self-esteem because you're allowing this kind of stuff into your life. Well, yeah, you're going to be open to going on dates and seeing somebody who is more of the same. And when your standards raise for yourself, your standards will raise for who you're going to be with.
Absolutely. It's like a double whammy. Like not only are they disrespecting you, but you're disrespecting yourself at the same time. No wonder it hurts so much.
And that's why I say this book is so much more about diving into your own stuff and figuring out your own cracks and your own patterns than it is about just like, I'm going to meditate until the one comes to me. Like, no, it's like an active practice you got to do every day of choosing to actually love, honor, and respect yourself.
And also she mentions that you had mentioned to me is that this book is not just for people who are single or dating. This is for people who are in relationships too.
100%. Because all of this is, it's working on the stuff that's inside that we all have. So all it can do if you're already in a good relationship is help that get healthier. Like if both people are unpacking their own patterns and like it's never too late, you know? It's only going to, like, knowledge is power. Like, I think, you know, worst case scenario, you're in a relationship, you do the book and you're like, wow, I have no bad patterns. I'm killing it at life. I'm amazing. I'm killing it at life, you know, but like, best case scenario, you get something out of it. You shed some light on some areas that you needed to, and you do better.
Or, you know, other case scenario, like you are in a relationship, you start doing the work and then you realize I'm not in the right relationship, which is a whole other can of worms, but worth exploring.
I mean, the reality doesn't change because of you figuring that out, right? Like the reality is already your reality. It's just like whether or not you are aware and noticing what's going on, you know?
Yeah. All right. Let's do one more section and then literally I'll just give you guys the link to the book and just go get the book.
Okay. So ending on a high note, and this is like good in all coaching, but to make a really good list of what you have to offer and to really know what you bring to the table in a relationship and to really think about all of your good qualities. And even with all the painful things you may have experienced, how has that made you stronger, smarter, wiser, healthier, because you've had to overcome those things, you know? So just sitting with maybe journaling out all of the good qualities you have, all the things that you bring to the table in a relationship, and all the things that you have learned from all the hard stuff. And it's just, again, kind of a way that you're setting yourself up as like, well, no, I'm the catch, you know, like I'm not going to settle for these like whatever dudes or women or whatever, because they're just saying yes to me. Like, no, like I'm actually very worthy and I bring a lot to the table. And then I'm going to have faith that it might not happen this week or this month or this year even, but like I have faith that if I hold my ground and believe and self-respect and self-love and know what I bring to the table, at some point, I trust that that person will enter my life and I'll be in a better place to notice them because I will be only noticing the people that rise to my bar, you know?
Amen. And that's the truth of it, you know? It's like that saying, you know, you always meet the right person when you're not looking, but you're not looking, or I don't even want to say that you're not looking. You're kind of always like, maybe, but you're not like focused on it, right? Because it's not coming from a place of scarcity. You're coming from a place of fullness and appreciating yourself and knowing your worth and everything you're describing. And then that person naturally vibrates to you. I mean, we meet people in the most bizarre of ways. It doesn't always have to be, well, actually, you know, the author talks about how she met her husband and how it's a very interesting story how they came together. And it would have only happened had she done this work and their vibrations, you know, and I'm using the term vibration, you know, you put in whatever makes sense to you, but like we do attract what we are ready for and other people are ready for as well. Because again, it's like you could go at, I love when people are like, you've never been married? I'm like, oh no, I could have been married many, many times. This is not the problem. Like I could have been married at like 21. But like I chose to not get married to certain people because not that they weren't great people, but they weren't the right person for me. And I had already gone through a couple divorces with my own parents. I was like, I know what that looks like. I don't need to do that. Like I'll wait. But it's truly about like bringing the right person in when you're vibrating at the right place and have done the work so that you, like you just said, to recognize it. You can't recognize it. And you also you very much can recognize who's not right for you, who is not at the right place for you because your value is so high.
Mm.
I cannot wait to redo this book, or I guess maybe do it for the first time because I don't remember anything.
Well, like what you said about you meet the one when you're not looking. I think what it is you meet the one when you're not looking for someone to fill that void.
Yeah, right.
So you can be looking in a general, like, oh, I'd love to meet somebody at some point way, but it's not, I need someone to save me from this life that I have or whatever. Yeah.
Right. This whole, oh, I'm too old. I haven't gotten married or whatever the like societal pressure that you feel is on you. You've got to do the work to make sure that societal pressure just goes away because none of that matters. In fact, actually, one of my mom's oldest best friends, she's kind of like an adopted aunt to me. We talk on the phone sometimes. And she just asked me the other day, she's like, when I was your age and younger, men were so obsessed with dating women who were younger than them. And I was like, oh, yeah. I remember you guys like complaining a lot about that, growing up.
Yeah.
She's like, is it still the same way? And I was like, in my experience, I have not experienced that. I don't think that exists in our generation and the younger generations. I don't think people care. I'm like, if anything, I'm going to end up dating someone younger than me at this point. Like, I'm more apt to do that. But I thought that was so interesting because it's just like really letting go of any kind of societal pressure to just allow yourself to be with the right person, no matter what.
Well, and if anything, to your point, like I think more of the younger guys are going for a lot of the older women, and there is a reason behind it. They're saying like, is it the Gen Zs? Is that what they're called? Gen Zs. Yeah. They're actually a lot more emotionally kind of like awake and aware and attuned and all that stuff. And not to say that they all want older women, but they're coming at it from a more mature, empathetic place than maybe they were in generations past.
I would agree. There's some good ones out there who've gone to therapy, and let's commend them for it. Therapy's wonderful. Please go. Please go, men. That's all we really want from you is to just go to therapy.
All humans, like the meme is accurate. Like those of us are in therapy to talk about the people who won't go to therapy.
That's right. Because the people that never go to therapy need it the worst. They need the therapy. Guys, go to therapy. Everybody go. This is so cool. Love this book. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. Go start, working on the book, guys. Like, what is your favorite takeaway from it for you personally so far?
I think the favorite takeaway would be just all the real getting clear on like the values. Cause I think that's where I would sacrifice some of those because of like other boxes that were checked. And so I think getting clear on that, I'm like, I didn't have to waste 6 months or a year or even 2 months with this person because I know they didn't meet those values and standards. So getting clear, I think, is my biggest takeaway, and I like it.
I love that.
Yeah. And I just like that. I mean, this is like, for me, it was free because I have an Audible membership. So I just used one of my credits, but like a book is not that expensive. So to get this much value, even if you're paying like $14 or whatever a book costs, I'm like, this is like years of therapy. When you're talking about like go to therapy, I'm like, there's so much really good content in here. Like, worst case,
therapist.
Worst case, you buy the book and you didn't like it. And by the way, neither one of us are getting paid for like
not. We don't even know her. I was just thinking of reaching out.
I love it.
I was like, maybe I'll reach out to her today and just be like, by the way, we just sang your praises. If you would like to come on and do a podcast, because we think you're amazing.
Can I be a co-host?
Yeah, exactly.
Hi.
Just be a girl.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Stephanie, thank you for coming back on as always. Tell people how they can find you.
Oh, you can slide into the DMs on Instagram, at Style and Smile. Style, like style your hair, the letter N, smile.
Yes, it will be in the show notes. Just click follow her, follow us, all the good things.
Thank you for having me. Always a good time.
Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Remember, sharing is caring. Make sure to rate the podcast and leave a review. We really rely on this to help get the podcast out there.